Where's Brian at? Okay, looks like he's coming from over here. All right, give Brian a hand. Okay, now, what Brian is going to do is Brian is actually going to lock me into something. And I'm going to show you what these are. This is a pair of thumb cuffs, okay? Now, these are not handcuffs, because if these were handcuffs, you'd have to have like the world's smallest hands. These are not handcuffs, they're thumb cuffs. And so in a moment, Brian, you are going to lock me into these thumb cuffs, okay? I want you to come on this side over here. I'm going to move this because we're going to need that hanky in a minute. All right, now, Brian, I want you to examine these, okay? I want you to look at them, see if there's any secret release or anything like that. Now, I'll show you. There are two ways that these thumb cuffs come open. Way number one is there's a hole right there. That's the keyhole, okay? And the key is dangling right here on this. If the key goes in, one side will open, the other side will open, okay? The other way, Brian, that these open is like this. If you push them all the way through, they come out the other side, okay? Now, if your thumb is in there and you push them all the way through, where I'm from, that's called a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Okay, we don't want to do it that way. Okay, so Brian, I'm going to lock them right there. I want you to take a look at them. Okay, just examine them. Make sure that there's no secret release. Now look, you can look at my hands. Okay, now I've got a ring on. In fact, I'll take it off because some people think I'm hiding something. Okay, look, I'm not hiding anything under my watch, wristband, nothing like that right there. Okay, you're going to lock me in. Now, Brian, here's the deal. I want you to push as hard as you can. I mean, when my thumbs are in there, I want you to push down. Now, I know you're looking hesitant. Now, okay, what's going to happen is it's going to push down. It's probably going to bruise me a little bit. That's okay. Okay? It's going to hurt a little bit. May cut off my circulation even. That's okay, Brian. I'm asking you to push it. The only thing I'm asking is this. You see, I was in New Mexico. And I called up this big, tough guy. I mean, he was like no hair, totally bald. I mean, he was like, he had more muscles in his earlobe than I do my whole body. You know, he's like very fit. And I didn't know it. He was ex-military, and he was New Mexico Highway Patrol. And he came up, and I put my thumbs in there, and I don't know what he did. But when he pushed down, my skin got pulled into that gear, and I screamed like a 6th grade girl. So, Brian, what I'm asking you to do, if I scream like a 6th grade girl, stop pushing, okay? That's what I'm asking you to do. Okay, all right. And so here we go. Let me get my thumbs right in there. Okay, all right. Boy, you're getting anxious for this, aren't you? You're ready to go. All right, now, get ready. Okay, whenever you're ready, I've braced myself here. I want you to you're going to hear it click. You're going to hear it click. Oh, okay, that's good. Ow. Okay, he got it good. Okay, now, I know you cut off my circulation. At least you did in my left hand. Because I can feel my heartbeat in my thumb right there in my left hand. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Are my thumbs starting to change colors? Okay, my thumbs are changing colors. He cut off my circulation. You know how to stop a preacher from going long? Cut off his circulation. Here's why I had him do this. I got to tell you though. Some of your friends and some of your family, even some of your moms and dads, this is how they are. They're a prisoner to sin. Once a person does something wrong, hey, if they don't have Jesus Christ, they are trapped by sin. And nothing in this world can set them free except for Jesus Christ. All right, so Brian, okay, what I want you to do, I want you to take that hanky right there, and I want you to cover my hands up. Yeah, just kind of cover my hands up. Yeah, open it up. Look at this. He's taking his time now. Okay, now just cover up my hands. Okay, now in case I can't get out, I want you to hang on to the keys. Just hang on to the key, just in case I'm unable to get out. Okay, now, you say, wait a minute. You said there were two ways out, and that is true. And it was tight. In fact, there is you see this new line on my thumb right there? No, that's fine. I knew it would happen. It was tight. You know how I got out of these? You see, I met a man one day. You know what this man does? He escapes from things. And that man showed me the way. Your friends and your family that are at home and they don't know Jesus, and guys, when they die, they're not going to heaven because they've never received Christ. What they need is somebody to show them the way out. And if you've given your life to Jesus, you know the way because it's Jesus. Everybody say, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one, hey, that's everybody you know, everybody in this world, no one's coming to the Father except through Jesus. Give Brian a hand. Brian, you did a great job. Thank you, thank you. Okay, now, do y'all want to know the secret of escaping from a pair of thumb cuffs? Y'all want to know the secret? Okay, here we go. What you need to know about escaping from thumb cuffs, the secret is a secret. Okay, that's what you need to know. Now, you see, if I keep this secret from you, escaping from a pair of thumb cuffs, it's not going to make a bit of difference in your life. But if you go home from camp and you keep Jesus Christ a secret, that can change somebody's forever. You see, it's an incredible thing. Once you know Jesus, you get the privilege, the right, and the honor to tell other people about Jesus. One of you guys wrote a question, and your question was this. You said, why do some people not know about Jesus? This is what the Bible says. In Romans 10, it says, everyone, everybody say everyone. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be, everybody say saved. But then it goes on to say, but how will they call on him in whom they've not believed? And how can they believe in him in whom they've not heard? And how will they hear unless somebody tells them? You see, a bunch of you guys, you may have come here thinking maybe someday I'll tell someone about Jesus. One of you guys wrote a message, and I love this. You said, what do I do if I want to be a missionary? And that's awesome. And there are some of you guys that God will call, full-time, your life, go somewhere around the world and serve Jesus, sharing the gospel. But you don't have to leave and go across the world to be on mission. And you don't have to grow up to tell people about Jesus, because at the end they said, laugh out loud when I'm older. You don't have to wait till you're older. You guys are on mission already, and you have a message to share. And I want to tell you about a friend of mine. His name was Mitchell. Everybody say Mitchell. Mitchell and I were in 5th grade together, and Mitchell and I, we were good friends, and one day our class got in trouble. We were talking and making noise, and so we got in trouble, and we went to the cafeteria, and our discipline was, our whole class, we could not talk loud, we could only whisper. And so we were going in the cafeteria, we had our trays. Now, our cafeteria, probably different than yours, because in our cafeteria, they would ask us if we wanted food. And so we're going through, and we had this one lady, and she was from somewhere over in Europe, and she'd be like, would you like some tater tots? And, if you wanted some, you go, okay. And she'd be like, I like tater tots. And she was really happy to give you tater tots. If you said no, it was like she was sad. I like no tater tots. And then you go to the next one. And do you want this? And now me, in my school, I always got every food they offered me, because I grew up in a very poor family, and if, just in case, I wanted more. And the tater tots, I did not eat the tater tots, but I always got them just in case. I ate everything else, and I wanted to gnaw on something for a while, because these were not normal tater tots. How many of you guys like crispy tater tots? Raise your hand. Crispy? Good. You guys are normal. Put your hands down. Anybody like soggy tater tots? Okay, we'll have an invitation later. Don't worry about it. Okay, put your hands down. Now, there's something wrong. If you squeeze it and drips come out, there's something wrong with that. But my school, we didn't have soggy tater tots. We did not have crispy tater tots. Our tater tots, it was like chewing on a car tire that had a tater tot flavor. You take the tater tot, you stick it in your mouth, you start chewing. When lunch is over, you go out to the playground, and you're still chewing. You get back to class, you're still chewing. And you're walking home, you're digging it out of your teeth. That is just way too much work for a tater tot. And so they would offer me tater tots. I would take them in case I wanted to suck on one for a while, but I did not really eat them. And so I got the tray, went down. Remember, our class got in trouble, so we couldn't talk loud. I'm sitting there, I've eaten everything except my tater tots. And then Mitchell, sitting across from me, he leans over and he said, hey, Kolby. And I kind of looked around and he said, hey, Kolby. And he pointed at my tray and he said, can I have your tater tots? And I thought, boy, you want to go home sick, don't you? But then I had an idea. You see, I knew Mitchell didn't go to church, but we had never talked about Jesus. And I looked at Mitchell and I said, Mitchell, you can have my tater tots if when we get to the playground, I can tell you about Jesus. And I thought Mitchell would go, no, because I'd heard all these adults at my church talk about how hard it was. And Mitchell went, okay. And he grabbed my tray, shuffled the tater tot, stuck one in his mouth. And I remember sitting there, he's gnawing on the tater tot. I'm watching him thinking, wow, That was so incredibly easy. And then I got to the playground, and I'd been out there a while before Mitchell got to me, because he had tater tots. And when he finally got to the playground, he came up to me. The first thing he said was, he said, "Kolby, you were going to tell me about some guy named Jesus." And I said, "Yeah." And before I could say anything, he said, "Is he a new kid at school?" I said, "No, Mitchell." I said, "Jesus, in the Bible, Jesus?" And he kind of made a face and said, "Well, what about him?" And I didn't know what to say. And so this is what I did. I told him John 3:16. If you know it, say it with me. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." And then I told him about how I gave my life to Jesus. I explained John 3:16, told him my story of how I got saved. And you know what he said? He looked at me and he said, "Can I do that?" And I said, "Well," and he said, "Right here, right now, can I do that?" Now, I want you to understand the setting here. I grew up in a different day than you guys. We got to do things on our playgrounds you guys only dream about, okay? It's true. I mean, now we could not play tackle football. Because when I was in 4th grade, we could play tackle football, and we accidentally broke a poor guy's arm. And so, it's new school rule, no tackle football. But there was no school rule that said we couldn't play tackle rugby. And so, a kid kicks a soccer ball, another kid grabs it, runs, somebody tackles him, somebody else jumps on, and then somebody goes, "Dog pile!" And everybody jumps on, and clothing's flying in the air, kids walking away with bloody noses. Okay, that was my playground. On our playground, we were allowed to jump out of swings. Yeah, I mean, you get the swing going real big, yeah, and you get it going as high as you can, and right at the peak, you jump out, and for about 10 seconds, you're like Superman, then you hit the ground, Now, for safety, we had a school rule that said, you cannot jump out of a swing if it's going too high. Now, do you know how you knew what too high was? If you hit the ground and you get hurt, you get in trouble. That's what it meant. It was too high. And so all the times kids jumping out of the swing, they'd hit the ground and they're like, I'm okay. They weren't okay. They just didn't want to get in trouble. On our playground, we had a merry-go-round. And we would get it going so fast, it would look like it was going both ways at the same time. And we would play a game because the merry-go-round's going around. We'd get it going fast, and then everybody would jump on, hanging on for dear life. And the game was to throw everybody else off. And so kids are flying, and kids are pushing and pulling hair, and it finally comes down to you and the skinny kid, because he's hanging onto the side, and his body's flapping out there, and his cheeks are like, and you're looking at him right in the eyes, and you can see the fear because you're plucking his fingers off, and pooh, there he goes. Now, our teachers would stand right beside the merry-go-round. This is true. They'd stand right beside the merry-go-round all the time. A kid would come flying off, hit the ground, roll right up to their feet. And you know what our teachers would do? They would laugh. Yeah, and our merry-go-round was done right. It was on concrete, the way it's supposed to be. Now, in the middle of all this chaos, you got rugby, you got kids jumping out of swings, you got all of the teacher beating a poor child against the wall. Okay, that didn't happen. But in the middle of all of this, Mitchell looked at me and he said, "Can I do that? Right here, right now, can I give my life to Jesus?" And Mitchell and I, we knelt down on that playground next to this backstop. And guys, my friend Mitchell, he prayed and he asked Jesus to take his sins away and to come into his life and to save him. And that day when I walked home, I was so excited and I was thrilled, but I was also amazed. You know why? I was amazed at the fact that God could use a 5th grader. Now, guys, I don't know if anybody's ever looked at you and said, God isn't looking at your age. God is looking at your heart. And if you're willing to let God use you and you're willing to tell others about Jesus, I'm telling you right here, right now, you can reach people for Jesus that the adults sitting in this room can't reach. Okay, picture it this way. I knew a kid. His name was Jaden. Everybody say Jaden. Jaden was at McDonald's. He crawled up in the play tube. Another kid named Austin crawled in. Jaden was 10. Austin was 8. In the middle of the play tube, Jaden turned to Austin and he said, "Can I tell you about the best thing that ever happened to me?" And Austin said, okay. And Jaden told him about how he gave his life to Jesus and what that meant. And he said, that's how I know I'm going to heaven. How about you? Austin said, I don't know. And Jaden said, would you like to know? Right there in the play tube. They didn't even crawl out. In the tube, Jaden told Austin about Jesus. And right there in that tube, Austin prayed to give his life to Jesus. Now I want you to picture that I'm at McDonald's. And I see an 8-year-old. And the 8-year-old crawls in the play tube at McDonald's. And I think, I want to go tell that 8-year-old about Jesus. And so I begin crawling in the play tube at McDonald's. What's going to happen? Yeah, he's going to be like stranger. Is he going to listen to me? No, you know what? You can reach students your age in a different way than any adult in this room can. And there is nobody better in the world at reaching students your age for Jesus than you. The question isn't, can you do it? The question is, are you willing? We're going to do a song. We've done it the last 2